Hello YouTubers, it's Prototype Music 2012 here, and Happy Easter everyone. Now I know it's been a while since I've made my last video, probably about Christmas time or so, but as you may or may not know, this is my last semester in college, so officially May 17th I will have my Bachelor of Music degree. That's right, so I'll officially be a certified musician, yeah, so it's that kind of a thing, where I had to take a lot of last-minute liberal arts, just last-minute requirements that I've been kind of spreading out over the 4 years, so it doesn't, so I don't have too much in one semester. But I have been taking the maximum of allowed credits, and it's worked out. I don't have to stay any longer than the 4 years, and others, might have to stay for an extra 2 classes. All my credits are taken care of, so that's all good, and I'll be graduating, and then life will happen, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, don't understand really the liberal arts sort of stressful courses, because don't know how much you'll actually retain of that when you become a musician. Physics. Well, yeah, physics of music. I'm taking that right now as sort of tied into music. That's one of those last-minute requirements I need, but sociology will help too, but math, not so much, because I'm not good at math. So yeah, I just revealed that. But as you know, I have been arranging music, making covers, making original music, and I will have more of that for you coming up soon. But I thought I'd start a new series on my channel called Prototype Discussions, where I sit in front of a HD webcam and we talk about certain things with the community, and we discuss our opinions. So in the future I will be reviewing this Pebble smartwatch I got for Christmas. I wanted to get a good few months use out of it before I made an official review. Kind of like my everyday use, and as you can see, I got this nice music thing going. 11:37, that's a nice time signature. But today, I kind of wanted to talk about gaming, and my initial review impressions of Watch Dogs for Xbox 360. That's right, and just sort of to discuss this whole gaming thing and this gaming mania thing. So first I want to start off by saying that from a young age, I've owned a PS1 for God knows how many years. I still have it. Got it for a very early Christmas present when I was very young, and it's kind of stuck. I got Toy Story 2 for it, and a bunch of other cool borders, and then I modded it, and I've gotten a lot of these copied discs, cool borders, I don't know what else, but I had a lot of games for it, and I thought, well, the graphics are right. I've never experienced the NES system or anything like that, but I was cool with the PS1. I've gotten so used to the controller that I've never experienced anything else besides square, X, circle, triangle, R1, R2, L1, L2. It's just kind of coded in my brain. I've got like internal memory of those controls, and just how it's always been. And so I've been gaming on that from a young age, and the games are alright. I had Ape Escape was one of my favorite games. It was a true game. You were like in this environment chasing monkeys and all that stuff, and sure, it was fun, but it wasn't. But I always had this hunch of like, I like this simulation kind of stuff, this open world stuff, and so there was nothing like that. I mean, then I found Flight Simulator, and now it's, oh my god, I can choose any airport in the world and fly wherever I want and crash and burn and do flips in my acrobatic airplane. It was fun as hell. So I've always kind of decided that I like these simulators the best, because it's kind of like, I just hate linear storylines that are like, do this now, then do this, and you get this reward. Don't like this. I like it to be like this. It's like, here's your world. Again, this is live, so I'm like, right. So here's your world, and even this much of a world, but at least you can have the freedom to do within this confined space whatever you need to do to sort of have it be your own individualistic game. By the way, like I forgot to mention, these discussions are going to be kind of like live streams, but not really. They're not going to be as boring, and they're going to be cut down, but just a kind of a real talk discussion. So, confined space, you can do whatever you want in this confined space. Doesn't matter how small the space is for me, as long as I have control, or even modifying this space, but that's going a little bit outside. But that, so I've always been a fan of that. Now, when Grand Theft Auto came out, I was like, whoa. I'm not talking the first GTA, because that kind of sucked. Not to say I don't like 2D, but come on. Really? When like San Andreas came out, and then I was like, wow. And I didn't get a PS2 for many years. Until 2007, I didn't even get a PS2. I was still rocking the PS1 for many years. Because I had Flight Simulator, and that was kind of my limit of games. Oh, and Roller Coaster Tycoon. That was my thing. With Roller Coaster Tycoon, you could build a roller coaster wherever you wanted. You had the choice of how to design your own theme park, which I thought was amazeballs. So that was my shit for like years. Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah, when that came out, in general, my family hates the three words Grand Theft and Auto combined. Now, granted, it is a violent game, and it's true you do torture people, you do maybe some kind of a waterboarding thing. It's not morally right in my book. It's not that I would do it in real life, but it's something that these games do have in them, and it's part of the story. I mean, I know it's just a game, but people are always going to be like, oh yeah, but you know, some psycho out there could do it in real life because he thinks the game is so cool, he's going to try doing it. I'm not one of those psychos, trust me, but in any case, nobody here likes Grand Theft Auto, and they don't like seeing it in the house, so that was always a no-go. And if I ever did, if I ever like borrowed it from a friend with like mods on it and stuff, they'd be like, get that shit out of my house. Okay, and I was okay with that. I said, yeah, alright. It is an open world, but you're right, it's a little bit of a fight. It's a little bit of a maybe too realistic open world where it's just totally violent and blah blah blah. And I'm like, alright, fine. When I did get the PS2, I really wanted Guitar Hero. That was my one thing. It was like apparently I won some money in some small pool, and I got enough to buy myself a PS2 and Guitar Hero, and I said, okay, the graphics are better than a PS1. Obviously, they were a little improved. They were kind of like, I don't know, it's like DVD to Blu-ray. They were like DVD quality graphics. You're like, okay, you can see the textures are a little bit better, but it still wasn't there. But it was playable enough. Where you're like, all right, this is pretty believable, and you know, and people are very nitpicky. The same year, the PS3 came out, and I'm like, holy cow, the PS3 is on, and I just got the PS2. That's crazy. So that's how slow I've been with my gaming. Granted, I wasn't like a gaming maniac, but I enjoyed gaming more than watching movies and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, so I do enjoy gaming and blah blah blah. And so for years I've been kind of playing the PS2. I've garnered up some games for it. I got Test Drive Unlimited was one of those free roaming games that I'm like, all right, I can drive all over Hawaii, but I can't really get out of my car. I can't even buy a motorcycle in that version of the game, and I was kind of like, alright, but at least I could still be chased by the cops. I could still, ride up the mountains, go by the ocean, take a little snapshot over there. But it wasn't the perfect game. So about 5 years later, in 2013, I went to my local flea market and I picked up a PS3 for about $50, which was, I would consider it amazing at the time, because they said it was fully working. They gave me a non-vibrating controller, and I said, that's alright, at least the PS3 was there was a 20 gigabyte model, and I said, alright, that's cool. I loaded up, I got 2 games, I loaded them up, it said no more space. I'm like, really? The games took up that much hard drive space. And I started to realize that games were actually they were installing on the system rather than playing from the disc, which was a little bit frustrating, but they did a little faster, and I realized the graphics stepped it up a lot in the graphics field. So I was like, damn, that kind of sucked. So I went to my local disc replay, and they said, you know what, we'll just take $115 for your games and your system and your controller. So you gotta be kidding me, right? They're like, no, that's how much it's worth. Like for a 20 gigabyte model. So okay, so I took my money, I got a profit. And then I jumped back to computer gaming. And I stepped it up a notch. I got an HP Pavilion G7 with the AMD A8 Vision processor, which is good enough to play in medium-high graphics, but it sure does fan the hell out of the computer, and it gets really hot, which I didn't like at all. So obviously the first thing I got for like 10 bucks on Amazon, it was on sale through Steam, which I then discovered Steam was a Just Cause 2, and I was like, this is amazing. Fully open world, was nearly not as violent as Grand Theft Auto. You could shoot people, but it just wasn't, the violence wasn't forced and it wasn't present. And besides, you were a spy, so it felt like more like James Bond with a parachute and whatnot, and skydiving. So I got that. I played it on the highest settings. Once I upgraded to 8 gigabytes of RAM from 4, then I could play it at about 40 to 60 frames. It would fluctuate between there, and I'm like, alright, that was alright. And I was rolling, and then I got the update with the online version, and I was playing online, and I loved every second of it. Granted, I didn't even get through about half, but not even 3/4 of the game, because there's just so much to do that isn't forced, and the amount of time it takes to explore is really, you just kind of take in the sight. It's like seeing a new country, which is Panau, but even though it's fake, it's like you're seeing a new country. And everybody was kind of, annoyed. They're like, why is the fan running so loud? Like, computers shouldn't be used for gaming. So I said, that's true. I use it a lot for school and editing, but for gaming, I was afraid it was going to melt at some point because it was just getting so hot. And then I got Rust, and I was into these very indie games, but then I thought, Rust is alright. So I paid the money for Rust, and I got it. It was like, what, 19 bucks? Because I was so interested in this like survival sort of thing. But what can you say? It was what it was, and I still have it if I want it in the future. Because I know that they're releasing constant updates, and eventually when I decide to play it again, I might. But I thought, the consoles are so cool because all you gotta do is plug in a disc and go, and you're off. And you can just sit there and play without worrying about your computer heating up or anything like that. So recently, now it's 2015, and Christmas happened and whatnot. During the cold months, the flea market moved indoors to Palatine instead of Rosemont. So I decided to hop over to the flea market. I wasn't even thinking much. I got myself a little wireless keyboard so I can, connect my computer through HDMI, and I can lay in bed and watch my YouTube typing. It's like really small keyboard, and I really like it. And it works. It's got a little trackpad, and it's literally just like a on-the-go keyboard. But I saw this Xbox 360, 30 bucks, comes with the cable and everything, and I didn't believe it for a while. But he said it's 30 bucks. But I was a little bit wary, because once I did get an Xbox 360 for a cheap price, it was a kind of a gamble because it didn't work at all. I couldn't test it, and it was just the red ring of death was showing. And I was really pissed off, and I didn't throw it in the trash. I just kind of tried to sell it on eBay if someone could fix it. Nobody wanted it. But now I got one for 30 bucks, and I tested them all. Like 5 of them didn't work, and I was like, oh, this is a scam. Then I look at the 6th one. Right away it turns on, the green light's shining. You can see the hard drive is working, it's revving up its engines, and It's pretty exciting because it actually worked. And I took it home. Everything worked. Now, granted, it was the very old 20 gigabyte system, so what I've been doing for these past couple of weeks is I had to do about 5 system updates slowly, one after the other, till I finally got it to the recent UI that it's on. It looks kind of like Windows 8. You all know how it looks like, so I made my little avatar. Might be selling it on eBay too, I don't know, because this one actually works. And I realized that once I get into gaming, for me it's hard to get away because the games are just so good, so real life like. I just end up playing them for hours, and sometimes can get in the way of life. But what I ended up getting is getting a few games really cheap for about $4 a piece. And that brings me to my initial review of Watch Dogs. Alright, so I picked up Watch Dogs for $8 on eBay. That was, I think, one of the most expensive games I got was $8. It's not that big of a deal. Normally it's $60, I was lucky, but there's 2 discs. An install disc and a play disc. So I realized that this needs, again, the whole installation in space disk issue comes up. But what I realized is that you can put in a terabyte hard drive into the Xbox and you're good to go. But what I realized is that it has to be FAT32, and not only that, but only 32 gigabytes would be even used for the game, which I was a little bit upset. But then I realized that Xbox doesn't want people to steal games, so this is why they only allow this. I said, come on, you guys make Windows, it's Microsoft, come on. But they're also smart enough to create these limitations so that people don't go installing full games or pirating games. So they allow 32 gigabytes for system, for patches, possibly game saves, but nothing much more. And maybe installing a few games from a disk, but not enough. They kind of want you to buy their own hard drives in any case, like a 320 gigabyte hard drive, because obviously they want to make some money on you too. That my Xbox didn't come with a controller, so I bought one for like $10 at Walmart. It was one of those Afterglow controllers, which looks like this. Obviously, you know how it looks. It shines blue. And coming from a PlayStation, it was super awkward for me to transition. Now I have pretty much made the full transition, but it's to say it's been difficult is the least I could say. When it says press A, I just kept looking down like I was freaked out because I was trying to learn. And, I mean, on the PS3, and I was trying these games like Red Dead Redemption and all that stuff. I just knew it just kind of second nature to me. It's very enjoyable, but once I understand the controller better, I will master it. But in any case, I don't understand why a lot of people are complaining about this game. Yes. Well, I apologize for that. Yes, I don't understand why people hate this game so much. Granted, I've only tried this for an hour, but to say that I'm a slow gamer is the least you could say, and I say that a lot, but I'm the slowest gamer you could meet. It literally took me an hour to finish the whole first mission because what I like about the game is it allows free roaming from the very, very beginning. So it allows you to make choices of how you're going to take your action right away. Not from the very, very beginning when you gotta throw that little... What is it? It's just like Far Cry, because I did get Far Cry for Steam eventually on the computer, which really hogged my memory in any case. You kind of throw a rock or some kind of a distraction tool. In this case, it's like a chip that kind of makes this signal, and the cop runs over and you try to go on the escalator to. But in any case, I'm a Chicagoan, so to play this game is amazing. You start out in Wrigley Field. They call it Maze Field, but it's actually Wrigley Field. Go for it. And it's amazing. You play like the whole inside of Wrigley Field. You're pretty much navigating. So that was exciting. And then in the end, you have to exit through a tiny little bar to get out of Wrigley Field. That was just, I mean, the whole even internal environment is amazing. Now, what I hate a lot about games is loading doors. Loading doors suck. That means you go through a door, and then it's like loading for the next 20 minutes. It's like, what I like about even Grand Theft Auto 5, which granted I'm not, I'm not gonna get. This is the best alternative I can have to Grand Theft Auto. Plus it's set in Chicago, so it's interesting. And I know, it's like, why didn't they make O'Hare Airport? Don't even ask me about that, because that's just dumb. But in any case, shrunk Chicago, it's still Chicago. There's still some landmarks. So it's exciting that I can drive around the Sears Tower, right? Okay. Drive around downtown. But, when people say the driving physics suck, the driving physics are excellent in this game. I drove a motorcycle, and even in games like Just Cause 2, when you go at a high speed, it's almost uncontrollable, and it's even worse driving with a keyboard. But to say that driving at high speed is bad is the least I could say. It's bad. In a lot of these games, like, it's just hard to control. In this game, I felt that I could really control my speed. I didn't have to go. I can go like 30% throttle, and it would still be alright. I don't even have to go full speed. And the turning was excellent. Even with the emergency brake, I was able to do some drifts and go on the side streets and go into alleys and all that stuff. But the funniest thing was that it gave you the ultimate freedom when you have to evade the police search area. I was able to go any direction. So what was funny was I jumped over a ramp, over a gate, and I ended up in someone's backyard. I smashed the car what's his name? I forget his name now, but it's not Vincenzo. What is it? Jordy Chin, right? When Jordy Chin gives you the car, I smashed him into a tree in some Latinos in the family's backyard. They're talking on the porch, and then I knock over this little Tykes red and yellow car. I was just like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was thinking in my head. So I spent half an hour trying to fix the little car to be in an upright position. Then I knocked over the little tricycle, and then I fixed that. Then I apologized to the family, and then the car somehow disappeared from the textures. I don't know how that happened, but I guess it just happened. So I went over to the next backyard, jumped over the fence, and I got a motorcycle. Then I finally got to my apartment, whatever, hideout, and then I went to sleep. So that took me an hour, and I was just amazed at still how much freedom I had. And granted, it was a gloomy day, so I didn't see the graphics at full force, but I think this game is amazing, and trust me, I spent months and months and even years researching into this game, so I kind of know all in all. But it's not the same until you actually sit down and play it yourself, because it's never going to be the same if you just watch someone play it. So I've tried. I must say, so far it's amazing. It's almost like a movie. The voice acting is amazing. And what's funny was my dad was sitting here because he was helping me maybe set up the hard drive, because he's finally like, all right, if you're gonna do this, maybe you're right. That you need a bigger hard drive. During the first mission, and I accidentally pulled out a gun, but it doesn't have any bullets. My dad's like, are you really gonna shoot a Chicago police officer? And I'm like, no. Just kind of these moral decisions. Like, I told you, you get rid of this stupid game because it's like Grand Theft Auto. I said it's not, because the violence is enforced. It's more like PG-13 violence. It's not really. Some of it's rated R, but there is no strip clubs or anything like that in this game. So, it's more like PG-13. I mean, granted, you even have like the blue line, the red line. I think it's just once, but you have the CTA here, and you have a lot of the stops like Clark and Division. You have Lake Street, and then you have, I think, the pedway system too. I think the underneath tunnels. So I applaud them for trying to recreate Chicago, but also I know that for a couple of years they had a lot of licensing issues with Chicago, so Chicago wouldn't grant them a lot of the places they wanted to grant, which is why they held off the game. Plus, they said that the story they had a hard time with the story, which people still say the story kind of sucks, and the character, I don't think the story sucks. I mean, it just, it's, the knee stars, he's got to get revenge for the killer. It's just kind of a standard movie plot. I mean, like, you can guess the plot any day. It's very predictable, but I'm not here about the plot. I'm here about the open world, about smashing things up in Chicago, and using my own hometown as kind of like a playground for myself. That's what I'm more here for, and I like his coat, and the textures are good and everything. So I think it's alright for now. I mean, maybe I'll get bored of it in 2 weeks. Who knows? I just tried it for one day so far. Okay, so one thing I do want to mention is that people say that the hacking is such a distraction and it makes the game more of a playground. No, that's not true. I like hacking in this game. From the hour that I've played, hacking makes sense. You hack the cameras, you can see something out of your field of vision. Yes, it's not as realistic because like normally you would. I mean, I assume in the real life he's looking at the cameras on his smartphone. You kind of get the full field of vision in the smartphones, which okay, so it's a game. Again, it's a game. Yes, I'm gonna treat it like a simulator, which I have mentioned or will mention. But the hacking is good. I mean, in real life, people do hack. If you ever seen what's that movie? Yippee-ki-yay, Die Hard. There is hacking, especially in Die Hard 2 when they hack the airport. There is real life hacking that happens. And the fact that this is set in 2020, so we have no idea what might happen in 2020. Who knows? And the CTOS makes sense. I mean, yes, they can't get licensed stuff, but the CTOS makes sense. And the game revolves around that concept. So to say that the hacking kind of sucks and it should be like more like Los Santos, where it's just a real city, I don't know. This is trying to be a unique game in its own way, and I respect them for that. And I like the hacking, and the whole skill stream makes sense. I wouldn't have liked to have to upgrade and just have everything right away, but I guess that's just how you evolve in the game. You get more skills and get more abilities in the future. So I just don't want to assume and say that hacking is bad because, like I said, I might get bored of the game in 2 weeks and I might say, why did I even buy the game? And I'm just gonna resell it. But all in all, I mean, so far, since I'm doing this the first time, I still have that kind of adrenaline that's saying this game rules, and it does. So please don't say that hacking sucks, because it makes logical sense, and that's the point of this game. And there's nothing that I can say right now that I have against hacking, and I have not experienced any frame rate drops either. So to say the frame rates drops is not a logical thing to say, unless you're on a PC, and I can understand that because I have experience with other games. But this is the main reason why I got the cheap Xbox for $30 and this game for $8, is because I couldn't miss an opportunity like this to just sit down on my gaming chair over there, this nice little gaming chair, and just have fun playing the game without worrying about computers and overheating and stuff. So that's just one thing I wanted to mention. But and I was taking into account everything people said: the driving, the physics, the sucks, the character. Number one, the physics driving wasn't bad. I had no problem starting out driving these vehicles. No problem at all. And the vibration was excellent. It kind of matched the driving, as you would say. The motorcycle physics, I love driving the motorcycles because you can get around tight corners. And apparently when you go to sleep, it recharges. And then I think today what I'm going to try is doing some profiling. I'm going to try to play this game really slowly. Again, I think I'm just going to try some profiling today. I've already stolen a few people's bank accounts in the game, but it's not as it's advertised. You can't steal everyone's. There's only a few select people that you can actually hack their ATMs. It's kind of upsetting. And I think these characters are randomly generated, even in the missions. So when I saw people on YouTube already at the Wrigley Field stealing, I wasn't able to steal anybody's bank account information at Wrigley Field yet. Oh, forgot to mention, I have a Vivaldi cup from Washington, D.C. when I went on a trip this winter to Washington. But one thing also that I want to mention is the only thing I noticed is screen popping. But I think that was meant to be part of the game, where it's like that's kind of their textures, just kind of like grainy, sort of jumping around titles and all that stuff. So it's almost like someone's blacking out or whatever. I think the developers Ubisoft meant to do that. So that's the only thing I experienced. Otherwise, when you actually are in the world playing, there is nothing weird that happens that I've seen so far. So far, I haven't really seen anything weird as far as glitches in the hour that I've played it through the first mission and getting to my whatever hideout or whatever. Right. The only thing I don't like is that I can't jump. That I can't just jump in the game. Because jumping would be nice to actually just sort of be able to at least jump just a little bit. What you can do is do a parkour and jump over walls and fences and jump from one building to another, but you can't just jump in place, which is a little bit. Sorry, it's a little bit awkward, but it's not the worst thing ever. Because again, I think everything else will surpass that jumping ability. I mean, it's like I'll probably forget about that, and maybe it's just not that important in the game, where you just, you know, it looks a little dopey to jump in place. In any case, just like in Grand Theft Auto, you're kind of jumping like this, and your arms are flailing all over the place. Yeah, that's not that cool. So I don't really mind that much. Otherwise, it's awesome. Another side note I wanted to mention is I've seen on YouTube now, after playing my own first mission, is that people do collect stuff. There's a lot of like little Easter eggs and stuff, even in the first mission. I don't know if it's the same across Xbox 360. I don't know if there's more details in the PS1 and in the PS4, Xbox One, but really, it's like, do I really have to collect all those little niche items? I mean, I haven't really found that because I was kind of trying to go like focus on actually playing through the first mission, but apparently, yeah, there is some stuff to collect, and I will be doing that in the game. But I don't know if I have to do it from like the first time I step into the game. I already have to collect all this crap. But yeah, so that's just how good the game is. That everybody has their own experiences, and everybody has their own story to tell. Just like in Skyrim, people tell these magical stories of how they went from one place to another and how they found this mountain. I feel like it would be kind of similar in Watch Dogs. Oh, I just blew up a crate, and then my car flipped upside down, and then I opened the bridge up to the Chicago River, and I was hanging off that, and then I fell into a boat, and I stole the boat, and then I hacked their ATM. So I feel like that's going to be an awesome story to tell one day, when I actually play this game further. Yeah, one thing, cops can't chase you in the water. Never didn't try that yet. Apparently they can't, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's enough try to get away from them on land, and yeah. Plus, really, most of the place is going to be probably the Chicago River and part of the Lake Michigan. But it'll be interesting for sure. I haven't yet found the ATM because I was busy when the game told me to head to my hideout. One thing I promised to myself is that I will never do fast travel like I do in Far Cry games and Assassin's Creed games, which again, those are good for representing the old times, but I'm more into this because, you know, it's Chicago. Come on, I mean, I live in Chicago. But I promised that I will start driving to every single. I will drive or walk everywhere I need to go. I'm gonna treat this like a real simulator, where I'm actually gonna go everywhere I need to go, drive to my hideouts, and do everything I need to do as it's being done in real time. That's what I'm going to do to make this game ultra realistic. And guess what? No more high settings, low settings. This is optimized, and I love it. And I don't have to do anything. I mean, I have to install it on my, you know, USB stick, but that's the minimal part of it. And I was giddy sitting down and getting to play the game without having to optimize it or anything. Granted, I did just get Skyrim also, which I heard is, you know, amazing, and I'm probably going to get sucked into that eventually. But I've just downloaded all the DLCs, put them on Horizon, you know, the Hearthguard, Dragonborn. I'm going to put them on the stick too. But that's just because I really want them, and that's a game I have to work with a little more. But in general, I think I've gotten really far in my history of gaming, from the PS1, PS2, a brief 2-week venture with the PS3, and now the Xbox 360, which feels at home. Kind of sucks that I don't really want to get Xbox Live. I hate that the internet's not free. But again, you don't have to sign up for Uplay for this. I could play this without Uplay, and don't think I'll ever get Xbox Live. I'd rather just do the single player and actually just not get sucked into the world of chat rooms and little kids and blah blah blah. So if you guys enjoy these prototype discussions, give me a like and give me a thumbs up and a like, and give me a star if you're still back in 2007 or whatever. Give me 5 stars, right? And we will have more of these discussions. I want you guys to give me your opinion on games and gaming in the future. Will gaming die out? Will there be anything after Xbox One? Which I'm not getting, of course, because that's a little bit. I mean, I literally just got the Xbox 360, so all of this Xbox One stuff, I mean, it's not even that much better. The textures are better, and the game mode's a little faster, but that's about it, in my opinion. But will gaming continue? How will gaming evolve? Will the Steam box take over? You know what I'm talking about. Write in the comments below. I don't know if they do video replies anymore, but just shoot me a comment or whatnot. And next time we will have a discussion on smartwatches and the evolution of mobile technology. And I will give my review of the Pebble smartwatch and the future of smartwatches and the iWatch thoughts and stuff. So give me a like, and see you in the future with more music also, but this is just a side note kind of a thing. And I'll see you guys in the future, possibly before the semester ends. So see you later, and have a YouTube day.